Time now for a look at the day's top business news, with concerns growing over the spread of coronavirus in China and also abroad. The tourism industry is growing increasingly uneasy, and not just in Asia. Brian Quinn is here from our business desk with the details. Brian.
Well, actually, the outbreak has, of course, already put a serious damper on China's domestic market during the busy Lunar New Year holiday. But with President Xi Jinping's decision to ban overseas group tours, the effects are beginning to spread. France, which already counts several cases of coronavirus, is the #1 destination for Chinese tourists abroad. Some 2 million arrive every year, spending an average of 2,000 euros each. That's a 4 billion euro boost for the French economy every year. Key sectors are likely to be affected: hotels and luxury goods, both of which have already seen their sales figures down sharply amid weeks of transit strikes. So far, the economic fallout in Europe has been limited, but that could change if the outbreak continues.
If it lasts for a week or a month in low season, it's not a big deal. But if this lasts for several months, well, 7% of France's tourism business comes from China, and that's a lot.
Well, shares in French luxury goods took a dive Friday on virus fears. LVMH and Kering each lost between 4% and 6% respectively. They are down again at the open today in the neighborhood of 3.5% each. European indexes overall continuing to slide. Basic resources shares hit hard as well due to their exposure to China. London's FTSE 100 down 1.5%. The CAC 40 here in Paris a little bit further behind it. Air France shares falling there. The DAX in Frankfurt is off 1.4% at the open. Crude oil prices falling as well amid fears that travel bans will hit demand. Brent is down 2.33%. West Texas Intermediate down nearly 2.5%. The next Brexit day is fast approaching, and the UK is preparing its position for trade talks with the EU once it's officially out of the bloc. Prime Minister Boris Johnson has said he wants a new comprehensive deal inked with Europe by the end of 2020. That's just 11 months for a process that normally takes years to hash out. The new European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen has called that time frame impossible. UK Brexit Secretary Stephen Barclay says his country wants a zero tariff, zero quota deal, and that Britain won't diverge from EU rules without good reason. Here he is on Sunday.
We start from a position of alignment, but the key opportunity is that we will be able to set our standards, high standards on workers' rights, on the environment, on state aid, as part of that trade policy.
And the UK will remain in a transition period with regards to EU trade until the end of 2020. But Britain will be free to sign new trade deals with countries that don't have existing deals with the EU. That includes the United States. U.S. Treasury Secretary Steve Mnuchin was in London over the weekend. He says Washington wants to strike a deal with London by the end of the year. Mnuchin says the UK is at the top of the list in terms of negotiating, but he acknowledged that things could get complicated amid ongoing disputes between the U.S. and the EU over taxation and tariffs. Here's Mnuchin.
There'll be certain issues that perhaps they need to resolve with the EU before they finalize our agreement. But I think a lot of the issues can be dealt with simultaneously. And again, we look forward to continuing a great trade relationship. And if anything, I think there will be significantly more trade between the U.S. and the UK.
And finally, for business, it's the birthplace of modern skiing, known for its snow-clad landscapes. But even Norway is feeling the impact of climate change, with less and less snow every year. That's prompted it to open the world's largest indoor winter sports facility, as Emerald Maxwell explains.
With more than 200 ski resorts and over 30,000 kilometers of cross-country trails, skiing is big business in Norway. But now it's moving indoors, with the world's largest year-round winter sports facility opening near Oslo this month at a cost of 80 million euros.
The meaning of skiing for Norwegian as, it's our DNA. Skiing and playing on snow has been a large part of the whole nation and will be presumably.
Nearly a quarter of Norwegians ski, and Norwegian athletes topped the medals table in the 2018 Winter Olympics. But increasingly, Norwegian slopes are faced with a problematic new reality. not enough snow due to climate change.
In Norway, we see that we will have less days with temperatures below zero in the future. And we see a very clear tendency. So it's getting warmer and the winter is getting shorter.
In a country where skiing is as popular as football, that's a hard fact to swallow. So not exacerbating the problem is important to the indoor ski centre. Its designers have created a ski slope that will act as a giant heat pump, generating energy that can be used to heat nearby homes.
No, Scandinavians will do whatever it takes to stay on skis, Haxie. I can
So
guarantee
it seems. Brian Quinn with the business, thank you very much indeed.